Sonia Williams.
I'm here.
Ewe.
This is it.
This is it. So we've talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, what's going on, dog?
What's up, brother? BA. Last time we were talking, we started to talk about Rob from Ventura.
Yeah, and other places amongst the world.
Betty.
And I ain't never been no coward or needed people to, fight my battles.
What his stepdad does. He comes out, a cup of coffee, when you're just all out. You can't hear nothing. Put your wiener away.
Come to Chicago and meet me by the Museum of Science and Industry. I'll pick you up. We'll go get a fried steak sandwich, and that'll show you my hog, all right?
Damn, he said meet me at the Museum of Science and Industry. What the fuck? Damn. That's the best call out I've ever heard. So, you're the guy with the balls, huh? Or the brains or something, to go after Nevada Department of Corrections, the Clark County Coroner, the warden, obviously, all the medical staff. I mean, not many attorneys get involved in stuff like that. And there's a reason. It paints a big target on your back. What made you take this?
Besides Sonia?
Very convincing.
One of the main reasons attorneys don't work on these cases doesn't have so much to do with kind of putting a target on their back. It's just it's a lot of constitutional law. It can be challenging for people to learn it, to know it, to try to fight. They're scared to fight the battles legally. So for us, we're comfortable with that challenge and going to do our best. There are cases that there aren't enough attorneys working on. And so that's kind of the main thing. I feel like I could be of use to the community in that regard. And so we're going to do our best.
It's a monstrous undertaking for sure. Just the sheer amount of evidence that has come out so far that I've been able to get a hold of in the background. Some of the things I've seen have been horrible. And they are burying this and have been, it looks like allegedly, for a while.
Well, if you want to talk to that, so the last year, what it makes me think of is in Mississippi, where they found all the dead, 221 dead bodies, I believe it. I don't know what the final count was.
Yeah.
And that was where? Outside of a prison somewhere in Mississippi.
Mm.
Who knows how long and how deep this goes in Nevada, but we know in Mississippi they found 221 bodies.
Mm.
In 2003, there was, I've read, and at the ABA conference, the largest attorney conference in the country, a Supreme Court justice, U.S. Supreme Court justice at that time, Anthony Kennedy, he spoke, and I just found it so interesting that to tell them, help out with these kind of cases. And it's a very powerful speech he gave, and one of the things he said in there is the public gives so much attention to the courtroom and to the crime, the courtroom, and the sentencing. There's so much public attention given to that, and then as soon as the sentence has been given and that person walks through the back of that courtroom on their way to prison, the public consciousness literally disappears.
Yeah.
Anthony Kennedy in that speech talked about that and how important it is for us to actually spend a lot of time trying to improve the prison systems across the country, because we spend as much, if not more, on people in prison than we do in our public school system. But from a public standpoint, we are allocating so much money to our prison systems, and we are allowing these men and women to be basically tortured in there. Literal torture. It's Guantanamo. It's modern day Guantanamo Bay. I don't know. Guantanamo Bay wasn't that long ago, but when those pictures came out, Guantanamo Bay, there was finally some public outcry.
Right.
It took us seeing the video, seeing the pictures. Same with George Floyd. It takes seeing the video And so that it's just interesting. If the public had more awareness to how bad these people are treated, and that we spend so much money. I mean, think about the budget that we give to the prison system, and then how poorly we treat those people. So, yeah, there's a lot I could say there, but that it's anybody interested, 2003 ABA conference in San Francisco, Justice Kennedy, one of the most powerful speeches I've read on this kind of topic.
So, with Christian Walker, it's one of the worst cases of COPD I've ever seen. How could they get away with stuff like this for so long? Obviously, it looks like there's one person working for the coroner's office at least that maybe needs to go back and study up on the books a little bit on causes of death or things of that nature when they're doing autopsies.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to speak to this. Do you want to say something? Or?
I do.
Well,
So I've done a whole bunch of research. I've gotten, for the last 2 years, every in custody death that's listed. And there's a definite pattern of causes of death. Definite pattern. Definite, like with significant blunt force injuries, but they're dying of natural causes or, something along those lines. Skin cancer of the tongue. I don't know. Herpes. They died from herpes. You know what I mean? Like
there was a woman that died of an abscessed tooth in
Florence.
In Florence.
There was a young gentleman too who died from an abscessed tooth.
It's insanity.
Yeah, like what day of age are we? E. coli. We have one died from E. coli. That's huge.
I know MRSA was really big.
Yeah, but in Northern.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Northern was really bad with MRSA.
And
staff and stuff like that.
Yeah, to get, I mean, you're either gonna die or be healed by the time it's time to go see the doctor up there anyway.
Right.
It's
right.
horrible. You can attest, you know that firsthand. You saw it.
Firsthand.
I know they shot at us in the Sallyport one time coming back from Chow, and Sallyport's just a metal box, and they were dumping live rounds into there. And one of them hit me here. They plucked it, and that was it. Plucked it and stapled it, and that was it.
We're at Southern?
No pain medication, high desert.
No way.
No medication, no nothing. And that was in 2010.
Yeah, well, I've been researching and reading a lot about building business cultures, but what's clearly happened in a lot of prison systems around the country is just the culture that's allowed to kind of grow there and fester there. I actually, at a very human level, feel bad for the guards who ended up killing Christian from the standpoint of such lack of emotional control in those moments. They have such a lack of control of their emotions that it causes them to injure him so badly and leave him to die. Like, for a person in modern day America to have that type of immature emotionally, or being like disabled emotionally to that extent, it's because of the leadership and the culture that is festering there, right? Like these guys, anyway. So it's hard when you think about it. I've also been researching about addiction, and you just think of how kind of slippery that slope is. It starts one at a time, one drink, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden it's 10 drinks a day. And so whenever this culture started there, right, there's been plenty of governors, there's been plenty of wardens, but for some reason, the culture that's just been allowed to fester there over the decades is how this keeps happening and how it's getting worse. Like, it's not a surprise, right? An alcoholic doesn't just show up in a ditch one day, right? It started with a first drink. It started with a 10th, it's a gradual process. So, and it's going to take a lot of work from a lot of people to try to back this process out. And so hopefully all the hours we're putting in will help a little bit. And hopefully we are inspiring others to keep joining in the battle, because Sonia and I only have so much time. Jody, others only have so much time
Yeah.
to dedicate. And so the more people that care, the more attention we bring to the issues, it will speed up the progress.
Well, this is the first time I can remember anything ever really coming out against NDOC that is
Public.
is this important, this large of an incident. They've been getting away with stuff for so long. Like you said, the good old boy system, it's like it's bred into the way that they conduct themselves, and is taught that way too. Now, I will say that there are a few seniors that were, McCreary, I believe, was one of them, super nice guy. By the book, you ain't getting nothing from him, you got nothing coming, but he's not gonna just be a dick to be a dick. Other than that, I mean, there are countless COs that I can think of right now that it's like they got off shooting at us and just making our lives miserable. And when you take that kind of a sadomasochistic viewpoint and you have this power over people, it's a recipe to disaster like this.
As you're talking, I just keep thinking of Guantanamo Bay. And, you know, they're these, it's not natural for you. Like, no kid wants to do that kind of harm. It's a learned behavior.
Yeah.
And a lot of these COs, you know, they, you know, as they get higher, like they quickly get into they learn quickly. It's a learned behavior that they're learning they can take it this far. And then they can't control their emotions and they end up taking it too far. But again, that's the culture they're coming into. What scares me is, just like Guantanamo Bay, there's gonna be guaranteed a depository, a hard drive that has a collection of sadistic behavior by these guards. I can, based on everything we're learning and everything we know and these handheld cameras, all this other stuff, these guys, the way they get off on this stuff, they tell stories. Because culture, you build a culture by telling stories to each other, right? That's like, as long as human evolution has existed, before we could write, we told stories to teach.
Yeah.
And so you get new COs coming in. What stories are they hearing? They're hearing stories about what they did to Christian. They hear stories.
Getting Walker.
Yeah, they hear these stories. And so as new COs come in and they're hearing these stories, urban legends, but real legends, then they think it's okay.
That's the culture.
And it becomes the culture. It gets passed on. And they're collecting it. They're for sure sharing photographs and videos with each other. There's somebody has it. We got to find it. Somebody has it.
They slipped up somewhere, and we're going to find out. Somewhere after this, they met up
Yeah.
I promise you.
I feel the same way.
Very, very resourceful. Already there's one CO in particular I've really keyed in on, who's just had a baby or about to have a baby. Possibly, allegedly had a broken hand the day after Christian's demise. A great email, bodypunisher@gmail.com.
Nice.
Very classy stuff. But the guy seems to be doing something fraudulent. So we're digging deeper into that. He opens 3 LLCs a year for the same type of company, same type of sales. And immediately, within the day, 2 days, transfers it over to the same person. It's very odd. So we're digging deeper into that. We're going to find out. Like I said, I'm highly resourceful, and you can't pay me off or get me to sign any kind of non-disclosure. I'm coming for these fools. So they're going to get what they earned. There's another one that's possibly a Crip, or his father is a generational Crip, one or the other, because he has the fourth or the third.
Oh, yeah.
So we're digging into that also, because it'd be wild to know that there's active gang members that are, they're their own gang anyway, right?
Yeah.
But
Recruits, all that kind of stuff.
a certified security threat group gang member as a CO. One of them looks like he might have barely missed out on catching felony charges and going to prison in the Carolinas, and then did it again and still got a wobbler in a different state, and now came here and became a CO. So we're doing our homework into these gentlemen, and I mean, it's collectively it's the craziest thing, because it's not just a couple of COs, it's not just a couple of COs and some nurses. We're talking all the way up to the coroner's office, and it just goes like.
Yeah, I mean, the office, it's hard. Again, there's just a culture there potentially, and there's young employees, young doctors. They don't know what's happening, and they're being pressured, and it can be it's hard. It's for young professionals, they can get put in some tough positions, and it's hard. Now, it doesn't make it okay, but it's just sad when you again, from a human level, it's just sad. Like in our case, there's no way this isn't. We know it's not the first one that's happened this way from an autopsy report standpoint, but again, there was a first one, and then it gets easier and easier, and so it's hard. It sucks for all of them. Nobody's gonna be happy, but we lost a life, and he could have lived, right? I mean, he could have had grandkids.
Yeah, that was his plan.
He was at the end of that sentence for sure.
That's what's sad. He had a full life to live.
Years.
I mean, he was gonna be able to get out and he was gonna have a full life to live, get married, have kids, have grandkids potentially. So that's again, it's learned behavior, and it's just unfortunate that there's not enough attention given to inside there. We have our biases and prejudices that we don't want to think about it. It's easier not to think about.
Yeah.
It's easier not. It's how we procrastinate in our personal lives. It's easier just not to think about things and just hold them. We get used to the weight of the guilt or the resentment, and just get used to holding on to it. And so, yeah, they got a lot to fix.
You're jumping out there, and you're taking a big step at it right now, though.
There's lots of situations. Death doesn't have to bring it, like, the stories to the media. Like, there's like a whole bunch of door popping up in Ely. People are getting stabbed up in
That's
Ely.
been going on for years.
For
Kenny
years.
Crum, they used to do that with Kenny.
I know Kenny. Okay, so yeah, there's just a whole slew of stuff that's happening. The gladiator fighting. The pins. What are the pins at High Desert where they're letting people out and letting just people stab each other?
Oh yeah.
It's just craziness. There was a riot in Southern Desert a couple years ago. Guards got everybody in the mess hall and destroyed them. It was just whole stories.
I sometimes wonder if Christian's death had to do with,
I don't know.
for him to go that long and
Not
not get picked up, to not get tipped up at all. That says a lot about him too.
Right, just the type of person he was. He just wanted to go home.
Right. And the amount of learning that he did, the amount of degrees that he got is impressive. Like, that man got 20 years to life, did 26 years of it, had so many degrees in different, genres of learning. Like, he was a model inmate. They did this to somebody who absolutely did not deserve it.
Agreed.
And that's coming from a convict that's been up there. And that dude he's not a piece of garbage. He's not,
Yeah, I agree.
It's insanity. I could name 10 people right now that deserve it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just, he was so healthy. He had gotten control of his life for so many years and was God-fearing. It's actually how we want money to be spent in the prison system is the rehabilitation.
Rehabilitation, right.
And he was one that had clearly been rehabilitated and was excited to live life and never get in trouble again. And, you know, can't say a bad word to a guard, right? Like that, again, that's the culture, disrespect. Say, you know, who knows what he actually said, but
probably not much at all.
Exactly. Demanding his property, right? I want my stuff. Where's my stuff? Where's my stuff? So, yeah.
It's about time, and it takes something like this.
That's what's sad.
It's the craziest thing in the world, but this is the type of incident that has to happen for somebody like you or you to come and say, no, we're not going to take this.
We're not going to keep doing
this. Is not right, and we're not going to be quiet about it and take up the cause. And then the public finds out that, you know, they say, oh, don't go to prison. No, that's not how that works at all. You know, America imprisons per capita and by actual number more people than any other country in the world. I think the next three combined is the actual numbers on that. We're talking China, Russia. Yeah, we beat them.
Yeah.
You know, and we privatized it. And we have judges that have stock or ownership in prison business, like when it comes to commissary or things like that. How is that acceptable? That the man who's sending you to prison is also the man who's selling you suits. Judge Assad. You know, I mean, there's some. I think if Christian hadn't had Mosley,
oh yeah, it'd be a different story.
He'd have been out of prison.
Way sooner.
This never would have had a chance to happen. So it goes even deeper than that, right? It goes to some of these judges and how they act.
Mosley?
I don't think so.
Judge Mosley. He was like the hardcore judge. Like, well, I would say that Cherry was right underneath him, but like Cherry was never as bad as Mosley.
I had Glass and Mosley.
Oh. Glass is pretty cool.
Both of them. It was rough.
She's pretty cool now.
She wasn't cool back then. But yeah, I asked her for an OR. She says, Mr. Childress, you have 23 failure to appears. I said, so is that a no?
So my chances are not good.
She was not amused.
So funny. Yeah, Eric had Mosley on the first one, on the big case, and then so it was all downhill after that.
Yeah, when they broke him off.
It was retarded.
We're not talking the habitual. We're not talking. This is what, a second offense or second felony?
Second felony.
20 years? Like, Jesus.
Yep. For one transaction.
Mm-hmm.
That the confidential informant couldn't even identify.
Yeah, and they called it GHB, which was like
retarded bottled water.
Yeah.
That whole case.
I know a million people that take that just to take it. I mean, they broke him badly. But without that, you're not here. They're still shooting us into prison.
Yeah, true that.
Right?
Yep.
So because this comes
everything happens for a reason, I guess.
Right. Where would you be in your life right now?
I don't even know.
Right.
Probably still putting money on his books or buying him a new TV or something.
Exactly. Now, what happened with your daughter? The last visit. I mean, that was... Yeah,
that was pretty rough. And that's what started all this.
I know.
That's what started all of this.
Yeah.
Like, how are we going to stop this? You can't kick a 6-year-old out for hugging her dad. Like, and then block her visits for the rest of his life. Literally for the rest of his life.
Yeah, her last memory is being dragged out of there.
She don't even like to talk about it. She don't even like to think about it. Literally dragged out of there.
That's funny.
Amazing.
And that goes to show the mindset of some of these COs that they could do that. How do you sleep at night knowing that you just
drugged a 6-year-old
girl out of a dying man's arms who's in a wheelchair,
who's handcuffed and shackled at the ankles to the wheelchair.
Yeah,
couldn't even hug her back.
that one hurts me to the core.
It does. That's how I found Jody. That's how I found her.
You know, or what they did with Josie. I mean,
Yeah. Nothing will ever come of that either.
nothing, because they made it up.
Undetermined matter and undetermined cause.
Mm-hmm.
You can't put yourself in a duffel bag and bind yourself up in electrical cords.
She didn't put herself in a duffel bag and jump into
And
the
jump into the
dumpster, so
head first into the dumpster. No.
That's bullshit. At the very minimum, some, you know, like, no answers.
Unlawful disposal of human remains is the most
Something.
anybody could ever be charged with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a gross misdemeanor because of the undetermined matter and undetermined cause.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another coroner's office like doing right there.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, that, again,
Way
that's-
back in 2013 even.
how many
well, that would be a detective going and telling the coroner, hey, we don't got any leads on this. We don't need a
homicide.
an unsolved murder. Just
Mhm.
make it go away.
Right,
So,
right.
okay. You're making me nervous about that motion. I want to go look at
It's
it.
an opposition.
I know.
Brother, it was very nice to
Yeah.
meet you, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that you, I mean, nobody takes these classes up.
We're trying. I mean, we're helping. They haven't beat us on a
Yeah.
single motion yet in a year, so
It
it's
took
just
a-
tough. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like
Took a lot of
It's a lot of,
footwork.
yeah.
just a little by
Lot of
little.
footwork.
Hopefully,
You go to return phone?
we're becoming a bigger and bigger problem for them.
And we're rolling.
Sonia Williams.
I'm here.
So, we came up in the same type of circle, we know all the same people. It's a hell of a life.
It has been.
Mm. And then one day it all changes.
Yeah.
One day your heart is torn out.
Yep.
Sonia Williams.
I'm here.
Pee-wee.
This is it.
This is it. So we talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, what's going on, dog?
What's up, brother? VA. Last time we were talking, we started to talk about Rob from Ventura.
Yeah, and other places amongst the world.
Betty!
And I ain't never been no coward or needed people to, you know, fight my battles.
But his stepdad does. He comes out, cup of coffee, when you're just all out. You can't hear nothing. Put your waiter away!
Come to Chicago and meet me by the Museum of Science and Industry. I'll pick you up. We'll go get a fried steak sandwich, and then I'll show you my hog, all right?
Damn, he said, meet me at the Museum of Science and Industry. What the fuck? Damn. That's the best call out I've ever heard.
The more you fuck around, the more you're gonna find out.
I'm sure the camera does nothing for it either. It's like being on top of the world. And all I can think is how many snakes are out there.